There is no form of anguish with a name, no suffering, no fate, no fall, however terrible, inflicted by heaven, whose burden human nature could not bear. The world knows all too well how he pushed Orestes on to murder the mother who gave him birth, an action not everyone approved. But persuaded by the god, I did what a woman could to help him, while Pylades, our friend, shared the deed with us. After the murder, Orestes collapsed to bed. There he lies, wasted by rage and fever and whirled on to madness by his mother's blood. I dare not breathe the name of those Eumenides who pursue him, hounding him with terror. 6 days have passed now since our mother's murder, and since her body was purified in the pyre. And all that time he has not tasted food or slept or bathed himself, but there he lies instead. When the fever lifts, he turned lucid and cries. Then suddenly, madly, he turns and bolts from the bed like an untamed colt. Meanwhile, Argos has declared us matricides and outlaws, forbidding anyone to speak to us or give us shelter. This day decides our fate. On this day, the city gathers in assembly to vote on whether we shall live or die. And if we die, whether by the stoning or by the sword, one single hope is left. Our uncle Menelaus has just come home from Troy. Helen, the cause of so much grief, he was so terrified she might be seen and stoned by the fathers of those who died at Troy, that Menelaus sent her on ahead last night under the cover of darkness. She is here now, inside the house, weeping over her sister's death and the ruin of our house. She has as comfort for her woes her unwed daughter Hermione, whom Menelaus, before he sailed from Troy, brought from Sparta and entrusted to my mother's care. In her she finds some solace and can forget her troubles. Now I watch the roads in hope of seeing Menelaus on his way. Unless he helps us now, then we must die, for we are strengthless. Nothing is so weak and helpless as a fallen house.
There you are, oh dear Electra, daughter of Clytemnestra, but you poor girl, still not married. How are you? And how is poor Orestes, to murder his own mother? But for my part, I see no reason on earth for shaming you. The real culprit here was Apollo. And yet, poor Clytemnestra, to think I sailed for Troy on that tragic voyage without even seeing her. Some god must have driven me insane. And now she is gone, and I'm left to mourn her misfortune.
Why tell you, Helen, what you can see for yourself? There lies the wreck of Agamemnon's son, while I sit here on my sleepless post beside his corpse. But for a little breath, a corpse is what he is. I do not complain on his account. You, so fortunate, you and your husband both, you come to us now in our utter misery.
When did he collapse in bed like that?
On the day he spilled his mother's blood.
Oh, poor man, and poor mother to have died like that.
Indeed. That's how things stand. So he collapsed.
I was wondering, niece, could I ask you a favor?
Only if I can. You see, I'm busy sitting by my brother.
Would you go for me to my sister's grave?
What? You want me to go to my mother's grave? But why?
To pour libations and leave clippings of my hair.
But she was your sister. You should go yourself.
I am afraid, ashamed to show my face in Argos.
Well, this repentance comes a little late. Where was your shame when you ran away from home and left your husband?
Spoken with more truth than kindness.
Why are you ashamed to face the Mycenaeans?
The fathers of those who died fighting at Troy, they frighten me.
They should. You're quite a byword here in Argos.
Please go. Save me from my fear.
I could not bear the sight of my mother's grave.
But it wouldn't do to send a servant there.
Then send Hermione.
Send an unmarried girl on an errand in public?
It is her duty. She owes it to my mother for bringing her up.
Quite right, my dear. I will follow your advice. Yes, I will call her. Hermione, dear, take those libations and those clippings of hair and go to Clytemnestra's grave. Stand there and pour this mixture of honey, milk, and wine over the grave. And as you pour, repeat these words. Your loving sister Helen, prevented by her fear of the Argives from coming to your grave in person, sends you these gifts. Yes. Then implore her to be gracious to us all, to you, my husband, me, and those poor children whom a god has destroyed. Promise her besides that I will labor to perform, like a good sister, all the dues and rights of the gods below. Now go, dear, hurry there, make your offerings, and then come back as quickly as you can.
What a boundless beauty is in humans, and yet salvation for those whose nature is fine. Did you see how she clipped the merest tips of her curls, so stingy with her loveliness? That same old Helen. How can you help loathing this woman, who has completely ruined my brother and all of Greece and me? But here they come again. Those loving friends who sang in lamentation with me. Now, if they wake him from his sleep, if I must see my brother going mad once more, I shall cry my eyes out with grief. Walk softly, friends, gently. Shh, hush, quiet, quiet. Not a step or a sound.
The wretched man!
If you wake his sleeping eyes, you kill him. He is enjoying sweet sleep at last.
Condemned to suffer for a god's command. How terribly he suffers. Look, his body's stirring.
No, he sleeps.
Yes, your cries have wakened him, have broken his sleep. Not a sound, not a cry. For God's sake, go.
Now he sleeps.
Then let him sleep. Hush, no more. In the name of God, be still, no more mourning. Or you rob him of his peace, this gracious peace of sleep.
Where will it end?
What is left but death? He refuses food.
And death must come.
Mother who gave me birth, who killed and was killed, you slew your husband. You killed your children too. By your death we died. We are the living dead.
Electra, look and see if your brother has died. He lies so still now. I do not like it.
Oh, sweet wizard sleep, savior of the sick, dear loveliness that came to me in my worst need of you. Goddess of sleep, goddess of forgetting, to whom the unhappy make their prayers, how skilled, how wise. What happened? Who put me here? Somehow I can't remember.
How happy it made me to see you fall asleep at last. This service is sweet and I do it gladly, nursing my brother with a sister's love.
Let me lie back down. It's better. These attacks of fever have made my arms and legs seem somehow limp.
Don't move. Sick men must stay in bed.
No,
Frustrating, I know, but it can't be helped.
Oh, what nuisances we sick are in our helplessness.
Would you like to try walking a step or two? The change might do you good.
Oh, with all my heart. Right now, even the suggestion of health, however false, would be welcome.
Listen, Orestes. I have something to say. But you must listen now where your mind is clear and the Furies leave you free.
If your news is good news, by all means, tell me.
Listen then. Our uncle Menelaus is here, in Argos.
What? Then this darkness has a dawn. Our uncle here, the man for whom our father did so much.
Here, in person, trust my words, and Helen too. He has brought her home from Troy.
I'd envy him more if he'd survived alone. If his wife is here, then he's brought his trouble home.
Poor Tyndareus. What daughters he fathered. And both disgraced him in the eyes of Greece.
Take care that you act differently. You can. I mean purity of heart as well as word.
Orestes. God, your eyes are burning. Oh, no. Help! He's going mad! Help!
No, Mother. For God's sake, Mother, keep them away. Those bitches with the bloodshot eyes, those writhing snakes. Help! They're coming! They're leaping at me!
Please go back to bed. You don't see what you think you see.
Apollo, save me! They're trying to kill me! Those bitches with gorgon eyes, those goddesses of evil! Let me go! I know you're one of my Furies too! You're holding me down! Hold me into hell!
What can I do? How can I help him now? There's nothing human that can save us. No heaven keeps us both.
Get me my horn-tipped bow! The bow Apollo gave me to scare these bitches off if they threaten me with madness! Vanish, demons! Goddesses you may be, but unless you go, this human hand shall draw your blood! Damn it! Go! Ignore me, do you? Don't you see this bow already drawn? This arrow already flying? What? Oh, I'm still here. Vanish! Fly away! Skin the air! Go! Hound Apollo! Accuse his oracle, but go! Go! What was I saying? Why am I panting so? What am I doing here out of bed? Wait. I remember now. A great storm, crashing waves. But now this calm, this peace. Why are you crying? Why do you hide your face? How wrong it is that what I have to suffer, this sickness, this madness, should hurt you too and cause you trouble. Please, dear, please don't cry, not on my account. Let me bear the burden. I know you consented to the murder too, but I killed, not you. No. I accuse Apollo. The god is the guilty one. It was he who drove me to this dreadful crime. He and his words, egging me, encouraging me. All words, no action. I think if I had asked my dead father at the time if I should kill her, he would have begged me, gone down on his knees, pleaded, implored me not to kill my mother. Her death could never bring him back to life. And I, by killing her, must suffer as I suffer now. It seems hopeless, dear, I know, but lift your head and don't cry. And sometimes when you see me morbid and depressed, comfort me and calm me. And I, in return, when you despair, shall counsel you with love. In families, there is no better way for each to help the other. Now get inside, bathe, eat, and give those tired eyes the sleep they need. If you too were to collapse, if you were to fall ill yourself, then I am dead. You're my only hope now. There's no one else.
I can never leave you. Live or die, I live or die with you, Orestes. For you are my hope too, as I am yours. What am I without you? A woman, brotherless, fatherless, helpless. But since you think it best, dear, I'll go inside. Go back to bed and rest. Above all else, try to stay calm and master your terror if you can. A sickness may be real or something in the mind, but in either case, a person still feels exhaustion, pain, despair.
Goddesses of terror, avengers of murder, I implore you, release this boy, Agamemnon's son. What mercy for this boy for whom the struggle persists.
Can you tell me, women, where I might find my nephew Orestes, who brought himself to do this dreadful deed? He was still a baby in his mother's arms when I left for Troy, so I would not know him if I saw him.
Here I am, Menelaus, Orestes in person, and only too willing to share with you the story of my sufferings. But first, I beg you, rescue me from imminent danger. You're here at the nick of time.
Gods in heaven! Is this some corpse I see?
I'm more dead than alive, I admit. I'm still alive, but dead from all my troubles.
Huh. And that wild matted hair. How horrible you look.
It is my crimes, not my looks, that disfigure me.
That awful stare, those dry, cold eyes.
My body is dead. I am the name it had.
Huh. I didn't expect this alteration.
I am a murderer. I murdered my mother.
So I have heard. Kindly spare me your horrors.
I spare you, although no god spared me.
What is your sickness?
I call it conscience. The certainty that I've committed an evil.
You speak somewhat obscurely. What do you mean?
I mean remorse. I suffer from remorse.
A harsh goddess, I know.
And,
but there are cures.
And madness. Vengeance of my mother's blood.
When did this madness start?
The very day we built her tomb, my poor mother's tomb.
Were you indoors or by the funeral pyre?
I was outdoors by the pyre to gather her ashes.
Was there anyone there who could help you?
Pylades, my accomplice in the murder.
Ah, but these phantoms, can you describe them?
I seem to see 3 women, black as night.
I know them. So it is they who torment you for murdering your mother.
Oh, if you knew the torture, how they're hounding me.
That criminals should suffer is hardly strange.
There's one recourse left.
Suicide, you mean?
No, I mean Apollo. He was the one who commanded my mother's murder.
Huh. An unjust, callous, and immoral order?
We obey the gods, whatever the gods may be.
Apollo, despite all this, refuses to help?
Oh, he will. In his own good time, of course.
How long has it been since your mother's death?
6 days now. Her pyre is still warm.
How quick they've been, your mother's avengers coming after you.
Any man who acts ignobly to his friends isn't truly wise.
Well then, what of your father? Is there any help from him?
Nothing yet. Nothing yet means nothing ever.
How do you stand with the city?
They shut their doors in my face.
Who are your worst enemies in Argos?
Eix, Palamedes' brother. He hated my father because of what happened at Troy.
I see. He wants your death in revenge for his brother.
Whom I never hurt. Three things really are killing me.
Who else then? Friends of Aegisthus, I suppose?
Yes, they all hate me, and now the city gives them a hearing.
But will they let you keep your father's scepter?
Let me keep the scepter when they won't let me live?
What are their plans?
The city is voting on our sentence today.
Exile from here, or is it death or life?
Death by stoning.
Then why not try to escape?
Everyone in Argos wants me dead.
Poor boy, you've reached the end.
Which is why I turn to you. You are my only hope now, Menelaus. We are desperate. You, in turn, arrive at Argos at the moment of success. I implore you, share that happiness with us, your kin. Don't hoard your power and success. Help us. Repay my father's services to you by saving us. For true friends show their love in times of trouble, not just in happiness. Menelaus, this is the end for me. Here comes Tyndareus. Of all the men on earth, the one in whose presence I feel the deepest shame for what I did. My grandfather, Tyndareus, the man who cared for me when I was small, who held me in his arms so tenderly. He loved me. And how have I repaid his tenderness and love? God, this worthlessness I am. Where can I run?
Hello, old Tyndareus, who shared his wife with Zeus.
Look at him, the man who murdered his mother, coiled like a snake at the door. Those eyes glowing like coals. What a loathsome sight. How can you bear to speak to such a monster?
Why not? I loved my brother. This is his son.
This? Agamemnon's son? A creature like this?
His son, in trouble, and I honor him.
Your foreigners, I see, have taught you their own ways.
It is a Greek custom, I think, to honor your kin.
But not to put yourself above the laws.
Necessity is legislator here. The wise say, under compulsion, no man's free.
That is your view. It never will be mine.
Your age and anger cripple your understanding.
The man being tried for lack of understanding is this one. He should have prosecuted his mother, charged her formally with murder, and made her pay the penalty prescribed, expulsion from his house. Instead of disaster, he would have gained much fame for moderation, sticking to the law and remaining pious. But now, what difference is there between him and his mother? No, she was vicious. He was right. And yet the evil he has done by killing her has far surpassed her crime. Think again, Menelaus. Suppose now this man's wife murders her husband. Where can this chain of evil end? Our ancestors handled these matters well by banning their murderers from public sight, forbidding them to meet or speak to anyone. But the point is, they purged their guilt by banishment, not by death. By doing so, they stopped that endless vicious cycle of murder and revenge. Do not mistake me. I despise adultery and unfaithful wives, and my daughter, that husband slayer, most of all. As for your wife, Helen, I loathe her too, and never wish to speak to her again. Nor, I might add, do I envy you at all, that you went to Troy to get that evil woman. No, sir. Not my daughters, but the law. That is my concern. There I take my stand, defending it with all my heart and strength against the brutal and inhuman spit of murder that corrupts the cities and ruins this whole land. You monster, where was your pity, your humanity, when your mother bared her breast and beseeched you for her life. One proof I know for certain, that heaven loads you. These fits of madness are the price you pay for murder. Heaven itself has made you mad. No further proof is needed. So be warned, Menelaus. If you help this man, you challenge the express will of heaven. So let him be. Let them stone him to death. Or I give you warning, sir. Never set foot in Sparta again. My own daughter is dead. She deserved to die, but it was wrong that he should kill her. Except for my daughters, I might have lived a happy man and died in peace. But there my fortunes failed.
Lucky that man whose children are his happiness and not a notorious grief.
Sir, I shrink from speaking, knowing almost anything I say will displease you or offend you. My murder of my mother was, I admit, a crime, but in another sense. Since by killing her I avenged my father, there was no crime at all. What else could I have done? I had two clear duties, two clear options. My father begot me. My mother gave me birth. I blush with shame to call that woman my mother. In a mock marriage, went to a lover's bed. Now, I disgrace myself as much as I hurt her by this admission, and yet I must admit it. Aegisthus was her secret husband at home. And so I killed them both. First him, then her, committing indeed a very impious act, but avenging my father. For this you threatened me with stoning, but in fact I did a service for all of Greece. Tell me this, what would happen if our women decided to adopt my mother's example? Murdered their husbands, and then came running home to their children, exposing their breasts for pity. Why, they could murder a man on any pretext, for any trifle, and yet my crime, as you call it, has stopped that practice for good. As for my mother, I had every right to hate her and to kill her. Her husband away from home? Leading all of Greece in arms? What did she do? She went to a lover and betrayed his bed. When she saw she'd erred, did she do the proper thing and punish herself? Not my mother. Instead, she murdered him to save herself. Odysseus had a son, but was Telemachus compelled to kill his mother? No. And why? Because she refused to take a lover. She was loyal to Odysseus. And what of this? Have you forgotten Apollo, the god of Delphi, navel and center of the world? The one god whose every word and oracle mankind obeys blindly. He was the one who commanded my mother's murder. Accuse him of murder then. Put him to death. He's the culprit, not I. What else could I have done? Was he competent to command a murder, but now incompetent to purge the guilt? Then where can I go? What can I do when the God who commanded me to kill my mother will not or cannot save me? One more thing. Let no man say that what we did was wrong, but only that doing what we did to our great cost and misery. As in action, so in marriage too. Marry, and with some luck, it may go well, but when that marriage fails, then those who marry will live at home in hell.
My purpose in coming here was to lay some flowers on my daughter's grave. But now, by God, I have a further motive. Your death. I will go to the assembly of the Argives. I'll fire them up against you and your sister until they vote to stone you both to death. Yes, your sister. She deserves it too. One thing more, Menelaus. I warn you. If you love or hate, my love or hate matter to you at all, do not oppose the god by rescuing this man. No, let them stone him. I warn you, do not make the mistake of siding with outlaws and criminals like this against God-fearing and law-abiding men. Servants, lead me away.
Good. Go. Let Menelaus hear the rest of my appeal uninterrupted. Spare us the nuisance of your senility. But Menelaus, why that troubled look? And why are you pacing up and down that way?
Let me think. I am trying to decide on the wisest course. And frankly, I am puzzled.
Then postpone decision for a while. Listen to what I have to say and then decide.
That's fair enough. There are times for keeping still and times for speaking out. This is the time to speak. Go ahead.
Menelaus, it's nothing of your own that I need now. No. What I want back from you is something my father gave you once, by which I don't mean possessions. I mean life. Give me my life and you give me my most precious possession. I committed a crime, and I admit it. It's only fair that you should wrong me in return. When my father mustered up an army for the siege of Troy, he too did a wrong. And yet, that wrong was generous. He did that wrong for you, to help right the wrong that your wife Helen did. And wrong for wrong, you owe me that wrong now, Menelaus. Good brother that he was, he volunteered his life for you, fighting as a soldier by your side. And why? To help you bring your wife back home. What you had of him, I ask of you. Not 10 long years, but one brief day. Hermione may live, for as things stand now, I cannot press my claim, and I forgive you your advantage. Repay my father's loan. Settle your score with him by saving me. And my sister too, unwedded to this day. Think, if I die, then I leave my father's house heirless, orphaned of life. Impossible, you say, but surely this is just the point, Menelaus. If you truly love us, then now is the time to help when everything we have is lost. Who needs help when the gods are good and all is well? No, the man whom heaven helps has friends enough. But now we need your help. All of Greece knows how much you love your wife. I am not trying to flatter you or wheedle you, but in Helen's name, I beg you. What I have come to, I must endure this humiliation and make this supplication in the name of our family, our house. Dear uncle, my father's brother, I beg you, save us now. You have seen our sufferings and despairs, and I have begged you for my life.
I implore you, help them please, it's in your power.
Defeating Argos by a show of force is out of the question. Instead, our weapons must be diplomacy and tact. Inadequate, I admit, but not perhaps quite hopeless. Whereas even to suggest the use of force is a way out, given our present weakness, is folly. Mobs in a fury are like a fire. It's dangerous to try to fight their rage. Hands off is best. You sit quietly by, watching and waiting, patiently biding your time while their anger runs its course unchecked. With any luck, it quickly runs itself out. And in the lull, while the wind is shifting, anything you want is yours for the asking. Anger, however, is only one of their moods. Pity is another. They're precious assets both, if you know what you're doing. Now, this is my plan. I'll go and smooth things over with Tyndareus in the city and persuade them to moderate their tone. As in sailing, so in politics. Make your cloth too taut, and your ship will dip and keel. But slacken off and trim your sails, and things head up again. Now, the only way to save you at all is through skill and tact, not by force, as you perhaps imagine. I lack the men and strength your rescue requires, and the Argives, I know, are not the sort of men to be overawed by threats. No, if we are wise, we will do what we must and face the facts. We have no other choice.
You vile coward! What else have you done in life besides fight a war to bring your wife home? So now you turn your back and you desert me. What Agamemnon's done for you is forgotten! My father, in trouble, was abandoned by his friends. And now, my only hope, my last refuge from death at the hands of the Argives, has abandoned me.
I seem to have arrived here none too soon, Orestes. I was walking through the city and heard the Argives were gathering and saw it myself. They're discussing some proposal to have you and Electra executed. How are you doing? What's going on, my oldest friend and age mate?
I must go. I refuse to die a coward's death.
Spoken like a man.
Oh, wait, should we tell Electra?
Good heavens, no!
There'll probably be tears.
Which wouldn't be auspicious.
One strong objection still remains.
What's that?
My madness. If I were to have an attack.
Have no fear, you are in my hands.
Mad men are hard to handle.
I will manage.
If my madness strikes you, too.
Forget it.
You're certain, then? You're not afraid?
Afraid? Fear is an ugly trait.
Lead on, then, my helmsman.
Love leads you. Follow me.
Take me first to my father's grave.
What for?
To implore his help.
Agreed.
But for God's sakes, do not let me see my mother's grave.
Hurry, we must go now, or the Argives may have voted before we arrive. Now, let the people jeer. I'll lead you through the city proud and unashamed. What is my friendship worth unless I prove it to you now in your time of trouble?
Provide yourself with friends as well as kin. And the proverb tells the truth. One loyal friend is worth 10,000 kinsmen.
Where is Orestes? For God's sake, women, where did he go? Has he had another attack?
No, Electra. He went to the Argive meeting to stand trial and speak in his own defense.
But why? And who persuaded him?
Pylades.
Lady Electra, poor daughter of our old general Agamemnon, I bring you bad news.
If your news is bad, then I hardly need to guess. We must die.
Yes, the Argives have voted that you and your brother must die today.
Death. I expected no less. What did they say? What were the arguments that condemned us to death? And how are we to die, my brother and I?
I happened to be coming, madam, by chance, from the country into town, thinking to get some news of how things stood with you and Orestes. Your family, you see, always took good care of me. And for my part, I was grateful to your father to the end. I may be only a poor peasant, ma'am, but when it comes to loyalty, I'm as good as any man. Well then, I saw a crowd go streaming up to take their seats on the hill. Seeing all that crowd, I went up and asked, what's happening here? Is there a war? What's all this excitement for? Look down, says someone. Don't you see Orestes there? He's on his way to stand trial for his life. And I saw a sight I never saw before, and one whose likes I never hope to see again. Orestes and Pylades together. The one hunched down with sickness and despair, the other sharing his troubles like a brother and helping him along as though he were a child. As soon as the seats were filled, a herald rose. "Who wishes," he cried, "to speak to the question? What is your wish? Should the matricide Orestes live or die?" Then Talthybius got up, the same man who fought with your father at Troy. But he spoke like the toady he always was. A two-faced speech, compliments for your father, in contrast to Orestes' cheap, malicious stuff, puffed out with rolling phrases. And the gist? Orestes' example was dangerous for parents. Yeah, that's your herald for you. Always jumping for the winning side. The friend of any man with influence or power. After him, King Diomedes spoke. It was his opinion that you both should be banished, not killed, since this would be enough for piety's sake. The response was mixed. Some agreed with what he said. Others disapproved noisily. The next to speak was one of those cocky loudmouths, an Argive, but not really from Argos, if you take my meaning. Anybody's man, for a price, of course. Sure of himself and reckless in his bluster, but glib enough to take his hearers in. He moved that Orestes and you should be stoned to death. In this man's opinion, Orestes deserved a crown. What had he done, after all, but avenge his father's murder by killing a godless, worthless, adulterous woman? A woman, too, who was keeping men from war, making them stay at home, tormented by the fear that if they left, those who remained behind would seduce their wives and destroy their families and homes. His words convinced the better sort. No one else spoke. Then Orestes rose.
Men of Argos, it was for your sake as well as my father's that I killed my mother. For if you sanction this murder of husbands by wives, then you might as well go kill yourselves right now. But you will not. You must not do it. As things stand now, my father's unfaithful wife is dead. But if you vote that I must die today, then the traditions of inherited norms and customs must fall. And you are all as good as dead, for wives will have the courage of their crimes.
In short, a well-framed speech. Yet he failed, while that cheap blabber, by playing to the mob, induced them to pass a sentence of death. Poor Orestes was barely able to convince them not to stone him to death. Then, only by promising that you and he would kill yourselves today. Pylades in tears is bringing him home from the meeting, followed by a group of friends, all weeping and mourning. Such is his return, and a bitter sight it is. So prepare the noose, for you must die and leave the light. Neither your high birth nor Apollo in his shrine at Delphi helped. No, Apollo has destroyed you both.
Poor wretched girl, look at her now, her head hung down, dumb with grief, trembling on the verge of tears.
Envy and resentment out of heaven struck. Envy was the vote the men of Argos took.
The stain of blood spread, and now the curse comes home. The inescapable taint, finding fulfillment at last in my brother and me.
Here your brother comes under sentence of death, and with him comes Pylades, most loyal friends. guiding like a brother poor Orestes' stumbling steps.
Orestes, to see you standing there, so close to death, the grave so near. I cannot bear it. I weep to see you now for the very last time. I'm going to lose my mind.
Enough, Electra. Resign yourself. It is hard, I know, but you must accept our fate.
How can I stop? Look at this light, this gleaming air that we should never see again.
No more, Electra. Isn't it enough that the Argives have killed me? Must you kill me too?
But you are so young. Too young to die. You shall live, Orestes. Live.
Don't make me weep. These lamentations of yours will make me a coward.
But I'm about to die. No one wants to die.
No, but we have no other choice. Our time has come. We merely have to choose the way in which we die, by the gun or by the rope.
Kill me yourself then. Don't let some Argive disgrace the daughter of Agamemnon.
I have my mother's blood on my hands. I will not have yours too. Do it any way you wish, but you must do it yourself.
Brother, dearest, sweetest name I know. My life.
God, this breaks my heart. With all my love, I want to hold you too. What shame on earth can time.
Menelaus said nothing to help. He betrayed our father like the coward that he is.
Not once did he so much as show his face. Not once. He had his eyes glued upon the throne. Oh, he was careful not to help. Come, we must die as we were born, nobly, as the children and heirs of Agamemnon should. Follow my example and die bravely. Pylades, please oversee our deaths, and then lay us out when we are dead and make us both one grave beside my father's tomb.
I have one reproach to make. How could you think I would want to live when you were dead?
Why should my dying mean that you should die?
You can ask me that. How can I live when my best friend is dead?
It was I who murdered my mother, not you.
We murdered her together, and it is only just that I share the cost with you.
No, Pylades! Live. Go home to your father. You still have a country to call your own. I do not. You have your father's house. You inherit wealth, great wealth. That marriage with Electra, which as my friend I promised you, you've lost. But marry elsewhere. And have children. The bonds which have bound us once are broken now. And so goodbye, my friend. My best, my only friend. And so farewell. Farewell is something you may have, but I cannot. The dead have lost their joys.
How little you seem to understand, Orestes. If I desert you now, may this green and growing earth refuse my ashes. May the golden air shelter me no more. I murdered with you, and I affirm it proudly. And it was I who planned the murder with you and Electra. Yes, with her, I said. She is my wife, the wife you promised me. What would my story be when I went back to Phocis and Delphi? That when all was well, I was your firm friend, my friendship withered when your luck ran out? No, Orestes. I have my duty too. But since we have to die, let us think and see if there is a way we can make Menelaus hurt too.
If I can see that side, I can die content.
Listen and wait now.
With pleasure, if only I can be revenged.
Then listen to me now. We'll murder Helen. That will touch Menelaus where it hurts.
But how? If we could pull it off, I'm more than willing.
A bullet in her brain. If I'm not mistaken, she's in your house, hiding.
Putting her seals on everything we own.
But not much longer. Hades will be her new husband.
But how can we do it? She has a retinue of slaves.
A slave? Oh, is that all she has? I'm not afraid of any Phrygian slaves.
Creatures who manage her perfume in mirrors.
God, did she bring those luxuries here from Troy?
No, Greece is far too small to hold that woman now.
What are slaves worth in a fight with men who were born free?
If we can pull this off, I'd gladly die twice.
And so would I, to get revenge for you.
But describe your plan, every step.
First, we go into the house on pretext of killing ourselves. We make a great show of how much we suffer.
At which, of course, she'll burst into tears, but she'll be laughing on the inside.
So will we, exactly the same.
But how do we kill her?
We'll carry pistols in our pockets.
What about her slaves? Should we kill them first?
No, we'll lock them up in separate rooms.
But if they scream for help, then we'll kill them.
And after we're done with them, the way is clear, right?
Death to Helen. That'll be our motto.
Now you have it. But observe the beauty of my plan. If we killed a better woman than Helen, it would be vicious murder. This is not. No, we punish her in the name of all Greeks whose husbands and sons she murdered, whose wives she widowed. Mark my words, Orestes, there will be bonfires and celebrations. Men will call down blessings on our heads. Thank us, congratulate us for doing away with a vicious, worthless woman. For my part, let me die if I do not help. But should we fail, should she escape our hands, we'll burn the house around us as we die. One way or another, Orestes, we will not be cheated of glory. Fame is ours if we die. Honor if we escape.
Every woman justly loathes the name of Helen, the woman who disgraced our sex.
Nothing in this world is better than a friend. For one true friend, I would not take in trade either power or money or all the men in Argos. It was you, my best friend, who planned our murder of Aegisthus. You shared the risks with me, and now, once again, you give me my revenge and all your help. I have to die. But above all else, I want my death to hurt the people I hate. They betrayed me. They made me suffer, so let them suffer for what they did to me. Am I or am I not the son of Agamemnon, the man who ruled all of Greece, not as a tyrant, but by his merits, with godlike power? And I will not shame him by dying like a slave, no. I die free. And I shall have my free revenge on you, Menelaus. That revenge alone will make me happy. If we can kill Helen and then escape, so much the better. But this is a prayer, a dream, a futile hope. It cleanses the hearts, but nothing more.
Orestes, I have the answer, a way out for all of us. Do you remember Helen's daughter, Hermione?
The little girl our mother took care of?
Yes. She has just gone now to Clytemnestra's tomb.
What for?
She went to pour libations for her mother's sake.
What does that have to do with our escape?
Seize her as a hostage when she comes back.
What good will that do us three?
Listen, Orestes, once Helen is dead, Menelaus may attempt to hurt one of us three. You or him or me. Though it hardly matters who, we're all one here. Well, let him try. You merely set your gun at Hermione's head and warn him you will kill her at the first false move. If then, seeing Helen lying in a pool of blood, he decides he wants his daughter's life at least and agrees to spare you, let the girl go. On the other hand, if he tries to kill you in a frantic burst of rage, You shoot the girl's brains out. He may bluster in the beginning, but he'll soon see reason, I think. The man's a coward. He will not fight. And there you have my plan for our survival.
What a woman. If ever a woman deserved to live, not die, that woman is you. What say you, Pylades? Will you forfeit a woman like this by dying? Or will you live? Marry her and be happy.
Nothing would please me more. My dearest wish is to go home to Phocis with Electra as my bride.
Electra, I like your plan. How soon do you think will Hermione return?
Anytime now. The length of time at least is right.
Electra, you stay here outside the house and wait for her. Watch out too in case someone, especially a brother or ally of her father, comes into the house before the murder's done. You and I, Pylades, I know I can count on your help now, my friend. We'll go inside and make ready to settle our final score.
Women of Mycenae, noble women of Argos, one word with you, please.
What is it, my lady? For you are mistress still in the city of Argos.
I want you to watch the highway.
But why this task? Tell me, my dear.
A premonition. I'm afraid that someone might see my brother about to kill and cause us new grief on top of old grief.
Come on now. I'll watch the road to the east.
And I'll watch here on the westward side.
Wait then. I will stand guard here and listen at the door.
For God's sake, spill the victim's blood!
They do not hear us. Oh gods, what has happened?
In a few minutes, some Argive will be here to rescue her.
Look sharper than ever. No time for napping now.
I'm moving along the path and looking everywhere.
Did you hear her scream? They're killing her. That shriek. I'm sure that was Helen screaming.
Help my friends now.
What's our kill? Run the traitors through! Kill the horror who killed so many brave young Greeks!
Silence!
Here's Hermione at the very moment of murder. But not a sound. Here she comes, walking straight for our trap. And what a sweet catch she is if I can take her. Quick! Back to your posts. Seem natural and don't give us away. Ah, have you been to Clytemnestra's grave, dear? Did you wreathe it with flowers and pour libations?
Yes, I gave her all the dues of the dead. But I must admit, I was frightened coming home. I thought I heard a scream in the distance.
Really? A cry? But surely we have every right to cry a little.
What's happened now?
Orestes and I have been sentenced to death.
You, my cousins, must die?
We must. This is necessity whose yoke we bear.
Then that is why I heard that cry.
Yes. He went and fell on Helen's knees.
Went. I don't understand.
Orestes. To implore Helen. To save our lives.
And might the palace have wrong with your cries as well?
What better reason could there be? But if you love us, dear, go now, fall at your mother's knees and beg her, implore her by her happiness to intercede with Menelaus now on our behalf. My mother nursed you in her arms. Have pity on us now and save our lives. Go plead with her. You are our last hope. I will take you there myself.
Yes, I will go quickly. If it lies in my power, you are saved.
Before they come, first let me see. Helen dead for sure, lying in her blood, or hear the story from one of her slaves.
I've fled. From death I've escaped. On barbarian slippers past the bedroom cedar chambers. Where can I run, foreign ladies?
What is it? Man of Ida? Helen's slave?
Death by Helen beauty brought, eye of doom, of Bourbon loveliness the eye. Helen from hell, lead us, puppy. Fury that broke Apollo's burnished walls of Troy.
Tell us clearly what has happened indoors, for what you have said bewilders me.
I tell you all. Into the palace came a pride of lions, Greeks, twins. One was the son of a general. The other, Pylades, man of plots, evil, just like Odysseus, a silent cheater, but skillful war, a killer snake. God damn him dead for his cool plotting of evil. Once they're in, they make for the throne. So humble, put their hands on the lady's knee, begging for life. The Phrygian attendants were scared, came running, jumping. One said, "Hey, treachery, look out, lady." Someone cried, No, guessed all the slaves. But some were thinking,
Where were you? Or had you run away?
No, Helen's fingers behind the flags, spindle turning, fingers moving, round and round, flags on the floor. Trojan spoils for a cloth of purple, a gift, yes, for Clytemnestra's tomb. Orestes speaks to the Laconian woman. Today, O madam, child of Zeus, to place your feet on the ground, come away from the dais, please. Stand by ancient Pelops' hearth. Hear what I have to say, please. So he led her. She followed. Poor, suspecting nothing, Helen. Meanwhile, guess his evil friend, his potion partner in crime, was doing other work. Go somewhere else, he shouted, you Phrygian cowards. And then he locked them up. Some in stables, others in colonnades, some here, some there, all of them from Lady Helen barred away.
And then what happened? Go on.
What I saw in the house of princes, bloody sufferings, lawless evils. Out of hiding, out of purple cloaks, they drew their guns and their eyes spinning around to look for danger anywhere. Then in sandals golden, she leaped to run. After came Orestes on his stout Mycenaean boots. Caught her, winding fingers in her hair and neck forced back against the shoulder.
Where were the Phrygian slaves? Couldn't you help?
Pylades came on, unflinching, like Phrygian Hector or Ajax with his triple hems. I saw him once at Priam's gates. Steel on steel together met. But soon we saw Phrygian men are no match for Greek ones. One ran, one dead. This one wounded, the other one begging for his life. So quick, we ran, we hid, falling some, dying others, staggering one with wounds. Hermione came in, just as her poor mother was sinking to die. Menelaus, all his suffering, all is her. To bring the Lady Helen from Troy all in vain.
On and on, one strangeness after another. And here's Orestes.
Where is that coward slave that ran from me inside?
I bow down, my lord. I kiss the ground.
This is Argos, fool, not Troy.
Anywhere wise men want to live, not die.
And those screams of yours, admit it, you were screaming to Menelaus for hell.
Oh no, sir. Not I. For you I was screaming. You need more help than he.
Did Helen deserve to die?
Oh yes, sir. 3 times cut madam sword and I won't object.
Oh, this is cowardly flattery. You don't believe it.
Oh, sir, I do believe, yes. Helen ruined Greece, yes. Kill the Phrygians too.
Swear you're telling me the truth or I'll kill you.
So by my life, I swear, my highest oath.
Were all the Phrygians as terrified by cold steel as you?
Please, sir, not so close. All shiny murderers.
What are you afraid of, fool? Is it some Gorgon's head to turn you into stone?
Not stone, a corpse. But this Gorgon thing I do not know.
What?
Nothing but a slave and afraid to die. Oh, death might end your suffering.
Slave man, free man, everybody likes to live.
Well spoken. What saves you? Now get inside.
Oh, you don't want to kill me?
I spare you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Go, or I'll change my plan.
I don't thank you for that.
Oh, the city of Argos is quickly aroused by any cry for help. Not that I'm afraid of Menelaus either. No, let him come. If he brings the Argives here, and in revenge for Helen's death, he refuses his help to my sister, my friend and helper, and myself, and his daughter shall join his wife in death.
God works his way with man, and the end is as God wills. Great, too, is the power of the fiends of vengeance. Blood for blood.
I've come to investigate a tale of incredible crimes committed by two lions. I cannot bring myself to call them men. I'm also told that Helen is not dead, but has disappeared, vanished into thin air. The idiotic fiction of a man whose mind was almost crazed with fear, or more likely, as I suspect, the invention of the matricide, and patently absurd. Inside there, open up.
You there! Don't you lay a finger on that door. Yes, I mean you, Menelaus. Touch that door and I'll rip the parapet from this crumbling masonry and smash your skull. These doors have been bolted down with iron bars on purpose to keep you out.
Gods in heaven! Torches blazing, people standing on the roof like a city under siege. And no!
Do you want me to do the talking, Menelaus, or would you prefer I ask the questions?
Neither, but I suppose I must listen.
For your information, I am about to kill your daughter.
Her too? Wasn't it enough that you murdered her mother?
No, heaven robbed me of the pleasure and stole her from me.
This is mockery. Do you deny you killed her?
Oh, it pains me to deny it, but to God I have.
And what? The suspense is killing me.
Struck down the whore that pollutes our land.
Let me have her body. Let me bury her.
Go ask the gods for her carcass. In the meanwhile, I will kill your daughter.
The mother killer murders again.
His father's avenger.
Wasn't your mother's blood enough?
Oh, I can never have my fill of killing whores.
And you, Pylades, are you partner in this murder too?
His silence says he is, but I speak for him.
Unless you fly away, you will regret this.
We are not going to run away. In fact, we'll burn the house.
Burn the house? Burn the palace of your fathers?
Keep it from you, but your daughter dies.
Kill her, I shall get revenge.
Very well then.
No, wait, for God's sake, no!
Silent! You suffer justly for what you did.
Can justice let you live?
Live and reign too.
Reign where?
Here in Argos.
You officiate as priest?
And why not?
Or sacrifice for war?
If you can, so can I.
My hands are clean.
Your hands, yes, but not your heart.
Who would speak to you?
Those who love their fathers.
And those who love their mothers?
Were born lucky.
That leaves you out.
Yes, I loathe whores.
What do you want?
Persuade the people.
Persuade them of what?
To let us live.
Or you will murder my daughter?
It comes to that.
Gods! My poor wife!
No pity for me.
Brought home to die.
Would to God she had.
All my countless labors.
Nothing done for me.
All I suffered.
Because you wouldn't help me.
I am trapped.
Trapped by your own viciousness. Electra, set the house on fire. You, Pylades, burn the roof. Set the house ablazing.
Help! Knights of Argos! To arms! To arms! This man with mother's blood upon his hands threatens our city, our very lives!
Stop! Menelaus, calm your anger. It is I, a god, Phoebus Apollo, son of Leto, who speak. You too, Orestes. What I say here, Helen is here with me. Yes, that same Helen whom you tried to kill out of hatred for Menelaus. This is she whom you see enfolded in this gleaming air, delivered from death. You did not kill her, for I so commanded by Zeus. The Father snatched her from you. Menelaus must marry again, since the gods, by means of Helen's loveliness, drove Phrygians and Greeks together in war and made them die, that earth might be lightened of her heavy burden of humanity. So much for Helen. I now turn to you, Orestes. It is your destiny to leave this land and go into exile to Parasia for a year. Henceforth, that region shall be named for you, called Orestion by the Arcadians and Azanians. From there, you must go to the city of Athena and render justice for your mother's murder to the three Eumenides. God shall be your judges, sitting in holy session on the hill of Ares, and acquitting you by sacred verdict. Orestes, you shall marry Hermione, the girl against whose throat your sword now lies. The Ptolemys hopes to make her his wife, but never shall, for he is doomed to die when he comes to Delphi, seeking justice from me for his father's death. Give Electra in marriage to Pylades, as you promised. Great happiness awaits him. Let Orestes reign in Argos, Menelaus. But go yourself and be king in Sparta. The dowry of Helen, whose only dowry so far has been your anguish and suffering. I myself shall reconcile the city of Argos to Orestes, for it was I who commanded his mother's murder. I compelled him to kill.
Hail, Apollo, and your prophetic oracles. True prophet, not false. And yet, when I heard you speak, I worried I was hearing the whispers of some fiend speaking through your mouth. But all is well, and I obey. See, I now release Hermione, and we shall marry when her father gives his blessing and consent.
Orestes, I now betroth my only child to you as Apollo commands. We come of noble birth, you and I. May this marriage bless us both.
Let each one go to his appointed place. Now let your quarrels end.
And I, Menelaus, accept our truce. And I make my peace with Apollo and his oracle.
Let each one go his way. Go and honor peace. Loveliest of goddesses, Helen, I now lead to the halls of Zeus upon the road that turns among the blazing stars. There with Hera she shall sit, with Hercules and Hebe throned, a goddess forever, forever adored, there between her brother sons of Zeus, reigning on the seas, lighting to sailors' way.